Let's listen in.
Thank you. Hello, Orlando. Are you ready for a new president? And are you ready for this new president? Ladies and gentlemen, I want to thank my good friend Senator Bill Nelson for his introduction. Thank you for coming out tonight. I am honored to be here to voice my support for Senator Barack Obama for president. And I want to talk to you a little about why it is so important for you to do what you can to make sure that Florida is in the Obama column next Tuesday night. Look at this crowd. It's not only big, it is highly diverse. You even got a few old gray-headed white guys like me. You haven't cut my demographic out yet. This is America's future. This is a future state. Barack Obama represents America's future, and you've got to be there for him next Tuesday. You know, I am very grateful to Florida. I worked hard to bring you back into the Democratic fold, and you came, and I thank you for that. It's time to come back again so we can take America forward. I am very grateful for the opportunity that I have had and that Hillary has had to campaign for Barack Obama and for America's future. I want to say a few things that he can't say on his own behalf, and then I'll bring him on to say what he can say better than anybody on his own behalf. But let me tell you, there's only two things you can do between now and Tuesday. First, you can vote and you can make sure everybody you know who is already supporting Senator Obama and Senator Biden vote and understands they do not have an option to stay home, not if they care about their country and their future. You got to get our crowd there. The other thing you can do is to find the people that are still teetering and wavering and tell them why they ought to be with us. And so I want to tell you very briefly, there are 4 reasons that I can tell you in a way no one else can, because I've been there. And I want you to tell this to everybody. And they don't just have to be your neighbors, you know. You can email people all over America. There are all these exchanges going on where people who are still undecided are fessing up, at least on the internet. And I want you to get on there and tell them there are 4 reasons they ought to be for Barack Obama. The 4 things that really matter in a president are, number 1, the philosophy. Number 2, the policies. Number 3, the ability to make a decision. And number 4, the ability to execute that decision and make changes in people's lives. So, I've been noticing this philosophical argument on television. Y'all been seeing that in this election? And Senator Obama asked me to say a word about it on the way up here. He's got the right philosophy, which is America works from the ground up, not from the top down. They talk about redistributing the wealth. They just presided over the biggest redistribution of wealth upward since the 1920s, and we all know how that ended. In the last 8 years, 90% of the gains went to 10% of the people, over 40% to 1%. Can you run a great democracy that way? I don't think so. So don't tell me about redistribution. When I served you, you had more than 5 times as many jobs as you're going to get out of this crowd. You had median family income across all racial lines going up, and now it's down. We paid down the debt. They've doubled the national debt. So don't tell me about redistribution. What Senator Obama has is a plan that works from the bottom up. if there's a strong middle class and if poor folks can work their way into it and stay in it, there'll be lots of millionaires and billionaires. I know we made more millionaires and billionaires than they did. You just didn't know it because middle class incomes were rising and everybody had a good job. And that's what Barack Obama will do again. So he got the right philosophy. The second thing I want to tell you is he's got the right policies. And I've read them all. And I've read his opponents. People used to make fun of me for being a policy wonk, but I take it after the last 8 years, we all know it really matters what people advocate. And let me tell you, folks, this is again something I can say because I'm not running for anything. The historical record shows that virtually every person ever elected president does his best to actually do what they say they're going to do in the campaign, and Barack Obama's do list is the better do list. The economic plan is better. The education plan is better. You listen to it, young people. You read his plan. If you're willing to do community service, it doesn't matter how rich or poor you are. You're going to be able to go to college, universal, everybody's included, no ifs, ands, or buts. And his health care plan is light years better. And I can tell you, there are people in this crowd, I know there are, who've lost their health insurance. There are people in this crowd who have children with autistic conditions or other disabilities that need help, and nobody's helping them. And we're living in a country, last week, 1 in 8 Americans are not going to be able to afford their cancer drugs this year. America drops to 29th in infant mortality, and we're spending more than anybody else in the world. They want to defend that. Barack Obama wants to change it, and he's got a good plan to do it. You should vote for him on that agreement. Finally, let me say, his energy plan is better, and don't you be fooled by these oil prices going down, because as soon as they can sucker us in to forgetting about being energy independent, they'll go right back up again. He's got the best plan to liberate America and create millions and millions and millions and millions of jobs. So, he's got the best policies. Now, the third thing he is the better decision maker. You know, our current president said something that's really true. The president is the decider-in-chief. And in this election, you got a very unusual thing I've never seen happen before. You got to watch the candidates make not one, but 2 presidential decisions. You always get one. Who'd they pick as vice president? He hit that one out of the park, folks. That was a good decision. Okay, then you got to see the reaction to the financial crisis and America nearly coming off the wheels. Having the wheels nearly run off. I saw this up close. You know what he did? First, he took a little heat for not saying much. I knew what he was doing. He talked to his advisors. He talked to my economic advisors. He called Hillary. He called me. He called Warren Buffett. He called Paul Volcker. He called those people. You know why? Because he knew it was complicated, and before he said anything, he wanted to understand. Folks, if we have not learned anything, we have learned that we need a president who wants to understand and who can understand. Who can understand. Yes, he can. Now, wait a minute. The second thing, and this meant more to me than anything else, and I haven't cleared this with him, and he may even be mad at me for saying this so close to the election, but I know what else he said to his economic advisors. He said, tell me what the right thing to do is. What's the right thing for America? Don't tell me what's popular. You tell me what's right. I'll figure out how to sell it. That's what a president does in a crisis. What is right for America? And you know, after this election,